Hey guys, hope you're well. Want to give you a quick and interesting update about the ZDT situation. And oddly enough, this is pertaining to ZDT and the Mindy restraining order, which is essentially finished at this point. But I would like to announce the most interesting bit of news, which is that I actually got a subpoena. The attempt is to subpoena my entire YouTube account and my entire Google account. And what's particularly interesting is this is a subpoena request or a subpoena attempt in a case that has essentially been concluded, in a case that has already cemented and solidified their witness list, and in a case where ZDT has essentially already presented his side of the argument. There is nothing left to analyze, and it's far too late to actually be successful in getting anything subpoenaed for this specific case because the case is almost over. So I'm going to tell you the conclusion to what's going to happen. The conclusion to the subpoena is that I will reject it, and it will easily get rejected, and it's not even applicable to be admitted into this case. So you could see the process that ZDT tries to go through. And you could use this later against him, perhaps as a little bit of evidence, because I'm still not bothered. ZDT can do whatever he wants. No big deal to me. But what he's trying to do is he's trying to intimidate people who he feels inhibits his success or is not on his side. So he feels like he can intimidate me legally, as if I'll get scared, as if I'll stop talking about him, as if I'll no longer be a player because I'm so scared of having my accounts be subpoenaed. Well, stupid, it's too late for anything for the judge to allow a single piece of evidence about any subpoena, because it's the case you would have had to do that at least 2 hearings before the actual debate about the merits of the restraining order commenced. If you don't get it in that point of time, then you don't get it. So this is yet another example. I know it's been getting some attention. It's yet another example of the meaningless. It's yet another example of the meaningless tactics ZDT tries to employ. It is for anybody else looking in the future, if they ever get this intimidation for him, just remember that it's meaningless and it's brought on by an incompetent attorney who doesn't know what he's doing. It doesn't know how to go through the process. So, yes, I got subpoenaed. Do I care? No. Would I care one way or the other, even if it went through? No. But it will not go through. I will reject it. And it's impossible for it to be applied for the Minty thing. Now the question is, what would ZDT even find? I guess his argument is he feels like I'm part of a gang-stalking community that is harassing ZDT, and perhaps he'd find some connection between Mindy and me actively harassing, whereas in reality, the only message that you would ever see is Mindy saying, "Are you coming to this thing?" and me saying, "Yes." That's the extent of it. There's no coordinated effort to harass him or intimidate him or anything like that. So that was an interesting piece of news. I'm still going to cover bits of the RO. I don't know. I mean, it's so much flying back and forth. I don't know if I'll really cover the remaining parts of Mindy's RO for logistical reasons. Going to have to fly all the way back to LA. But I might still, and certainly the subpoena request wouldn't make a difference. Now, the other thing I wanted to remark upon is I found an interesting video, because you should always take into account opinions from various sides. And people who are reflexively pro-ZDT, I automatically discount their opinion. I think they're insane. If you actually like the guy, if you're his fan, if you're his supporter, there's something mentally wrong with you. You are not mentally competent enough for me to take seriously anything that you say. But Thomas M.U. Anderson, a lot of people dislike him. He certainly has his fans. I enjoy watching him, and I wasn't offended by the video, and it's always interesting to see different perspectives. But he felt like he indicated that I was lying. And the reason I'm talking about this video is because M.U. Anderson is more of an objective, I mean, objective is a relative term, but certainly more of an objective source than people who are pro-ZDT. He has not been pro-ZDT. But he was saying in the video that I was lying, and I'm like, I keep trying to find out the specific sentence that was a lie. And then I kept listening, like, is it here? No, it's not here. It's not here. And then finally, he indicated I was lying via omission because he feels like there's gang stalking credibility, or at least harassment credibility, that ZDT could try to claim, and that not mentioning it and not saying that he's been a victim of that is me lying. Here's the interesting part. Thomas M.U. Anderson kept bringing up the moment of Streets LA plastering ZDT's posters amongst various locations, and indicated that somehow implicated Nora. Well, the thing is, I don't need to mention it because that has nothing to do with Nora. Nora might have, I don't know, but maybe in one video Nora said good for you, Streets, but she was certainly not part of any coordinated planned effort, nor did she ever make a video encouraging Streets LA to plaster various posters. Now, we could debate the merit of whether they harass ZDT or not. I would say no, because it's mutually assured destruction. It's not harassment if somebody has constantly been trying to inhibit your outside life. Remember, ZDT did more than just cast verbal aspersions upon people. He tried to get Solomon's mother lost from her employment. He tried to interfere with Nora's employment. He tried to create real-world consequences for a number of people. One of these people that he tried to create real-world consequences for was for Solomon. Solomon is a good friend of Streets LA, so in any court of law, Streets LA would just be saying he has talked sexually about a minor, which makes the poster accurate in some regard, or perhaps in every regard, and I was defending my friend. It didn't come out of the blue, but here's the difference. The attacks from ZDT came out of nowhere. He started each and every single attack. Maybe not for me. I think I started it with ZDT, so I'm honored to take that. But other than that, he has started the constant attacks, and not only the constant verbal attacks, but the constant outside action and the constant directives towards his followers to harass the workplaces or the environments of other people. He has started that, which, again, is mutually assured destruction. And the other person could still claim harassment because they were being harassed first and they were merely responding. But he created the circumstances for the so-called harassment that Thomas M.U. Anderson tries to claim and that ZDT tries to claim. This is why I'm failing to mention the so-called harassment of ZDT because I don't feel like ZDT was harassed. And we can certainly have that debate, and that's why it might be interesting to watch Thomas, because he might be able to detail why I'm wrong in that regard, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. But I found that was a very interesting, you're really grasping at straws if you feel like the lying is not saying that ZDT is this sad little poor victim and that we all, in terms of the victim oppression Olympics, ZDT is number one. Sorry, he is not the winner of the victim oppression Olympics. I know he wants to be. I know he wants those super chats. He wants the support. And of course, he subpoenaed me, so he wants me to shut up. But guess what? None of that is going to happen. So good luck. But, I've enjoyed watching Thomas M.U. Anderson more than once, and I appreciate his video. So he was somebody I respected enough to actually think, well, I should respond to this and take seriously some of it. Not that I've taken seriously in the way of taking other points seriously, but take seriously some of his points and see simply how I could refute it. So that's my thing. In terms of Nora harassing ZDT, maybe in the comments you could put more evidence of it. I can't think of anything that specific, quite frankly. I could think of her being insulting and unkind. But other than that, if you want to say the posters and then Aaron following ZDT and his mother, I don't think that's harassment anyway, but if you think that's harassment, fine. But guess what? Nora has nothing to do with any of those things. She was not in constant contact with Streets LA, and guess what? She's not friends with Aaron Smith Levin. So I'm glad M.U. Anderson brought this up, because you see the desperate attempt there is to link all these people together who actually have nothing to do with each other. Nora's beefing with Streets LA. Nora's beefing with Aaron. Nora doesn't have a strong relationship with Streets LA. They're not in communication. So how is that a concerted group gang stalking effort? It is not. So ZDT with his paranoid self keeps trying to claim this, but guess what? There's going to be one loss after another. Also, there's an appeal. I'm going to talk about more about this in detail, but there's an appeal that ZDT tried to make against Henry, against his restraining order. He lost. So that's yet another, that might have slipped through the cracks, but that's yet another failure. exhibited by ZDT. So things don't look good, and I've been subpoenaed. I could care less. He will not get what he is requesting. Even if he did, it wouldn't help him. But, I guess you can try grasping at straws all you want. And there'll be some people, if you look at some other sources, where it seems like ZDT has momentum, but I am here to quash that and tell you he has zero momentum. And that is the rub. Other than that, I'll be... on the 30th, Henry's going to hang out with me for a little bit, and we're going to check out the Weinstein, the retrial situation, which is, I think, like in 2 days, and then the Diddy sentencing will be coming up, so that will be cool. And then I'll go down to D.C. to see the James Comey arraignment in person, interview some people outside there, and also see the testimony of Hillary and Bill Clinton pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein. Also try to interview some interesting people there. And then after that, I'll be at a Jack Citrelli rally, and then I think tomorrow I'll be at a Curtis Lewa press conference to see how he addresses Eric Adams dropping out of the race. So you get a lot of little bits of interesting information, some Scientology related, some non-Scientology related. And if you think it's important, you want me to fly for the final part of Minty's restraining order. The dog is here. It's got to lick me. If you want me to fly for the final part of Minty's restraining order, let me know. If there's enough popular support, not money dependent, I could pay for that, but if there's enough popular verbal support in the comments, I will go. Because there's certainly one I'm definitely not going to, but there's the two parts of the hearings are scattered a week apart from each other. So I might go to the second part in the middle of October. So let me know if you think I should. Au revoir, guys. Take care.